So, maybe you can tell by my voice that I'm a bit fucked up right now. I'm not sick, I just had prom yesterday, got home today at like 5 a.m. I got a massive headache, and I think I got in an altercation with a buffet, but we're not gonna talk about that. The show must go on no matter what happens. No matter how hard we get hit, we always get back. Wait, I feel like I've said this before. He symbolizes always getting back up, no matter how hard you get, no matter how many times you fall. Anyway, 2018. I've mentioned multiple times now how amazing of a year 2018 was. He got so many good games from all different genres. It was just a behemoth of a year as gaming years go. One game in particular which I've mentioned before was God of War, and today I'm going to be talking about Spider-Man PS4. Why do I love that game so much? Is it the best Spider-Man game ever made? Is it the best superhero game ever made? And 2 years later, how well has it held up? Let's get right into it. So, Marvel's Spider-Man, or more commonly known as Spider-Man PS4. The game's almost 2 years old. It would have been 2 years in September. And this game is basically the retaliation of Spider-Man in video games. We had a ton of Spider-Man video games before, a lot of which were shit or mediocre. I'm not going to get into each and every one, but a lot of problems were in a lot of them, and people just kind of lost hope at getting a good Spider-Man game after Spider-Man PS2 came around. And I'm talking Spider-Man 2 on the PS2. That game was a great game, overrated in some aspects. Yes, that's not today's topic. So when Spider-Man PS4 came along, it was a fucking shock how good that game was. Because the main thing which I was skeptical about was the web swing, and the web swing was fantastic. Yes, in some ways it could be improved on, but the way that it is right now is a massive improvement on what it is in most of the games we already have. The web swing has momentum, and it is very intuitive, and it's really fun, and it sticks to buildings as it's always been, totally. But yes, it could be improved on increasing the amount of momentum which you can gain. That argument can be had, but the web swing is just fantastic. It is intuitive, it is fun, the combat is second nature. You unlock the combat progressively. It's such a fantastic combat, and just the mechanics in this game are fantastic. It feels like second nature. Spider-Man has been Spider-Man for, 8 years in this universe, I think? So, it would make sense for him to know his way around and not clunk about. And it would make sense for you to feel like you know what the fuck you're doing, and you do. It feels so... I've said this like 10 times now, but it feels like second nature. Then, the story came along, and if the story was shit, I don't think a lot of people would have been pissed about it. They would have just been glad that the mechanics were fucking great, and we finally got a good feeling Spider-Man game. The story itself, I was shocked at how good it was. Because they didn't have to massively focus on the story. They could have just popped out a good story, not massively good, but just an okay story. But they didn't. They went fucking balls out with the story. It is a Spider-Man game. If you do know a lot of the if you know the basics of what Spider-Man is, a couple of characters in his story, you do know some of the plot twists which are thrown your way in the game. And they know that a lot of people know the villain plot twist, but knowing that, they went into it like, okay, even the people who know what's about to happen, we want them to be shocked to a certain degree. And they pulled that off magnificently. They played the story in such a way that the way that the story ended, by the end of it, was completely shocking to me, or kind of shocking, but just the way that it makes you feel at the end is... And talking about how it makes you feel, let's talk about the fact that the soundtrack is... Oh, my God, this soundtrack. This soundtrack... Oh, I could go on a fucking episode on its own talking about the soundtracks of each and every game that I've talked about, but it's a heroic yet humble yet just fun soundtrack. It is... I get goosebumps every time I hear this soundtrack. Some people might think that it's an exaggeration, but it's not. This game changed me. This game genuinely it came along at a very important moment in my life. And I'm glad that I got to play it because I needed Spider-Man in a specific moment in my life. And one thing which I really love is in the reveal trailers for the game, they cut out and they made specific trailers like outside of the game so that certain reveals while you're playing, you're not like, oh yeah, I saw that in trailer, I know this. You're like, wait, the trailer wasn't like this. And they played that magnificently. Let's say you're in a scene where Spider-Man looks up and a character A shows up in the trailer. And you're like, oh, okay. Then you play the game, the scene starts, and you're like, oh yeah, character A is gonna show up, but character B shows up instead. You're like, wait, what? They made a trailer specifically for the reveal, not like straight out of the game. They made a whole thing just so people wouldn't. Oh, I love Insomniac for doing that because they set the bar. They really fucking set the bar. And I love this game to death. I'm not gonna spoil the story. Even though it's been 2 years, I'm not gonna spoil the story. I'm gonna say that it is a magnificent story. I have one bone to pick with this game. My one major hatred towards this game, I will say hatred, yes, is the stealth missions, specifically with Mary Jane. Because, Jesus Christ, it's not one mission. Okay, I'm not sure. My brain's just decided to to forget how many missions there are. I think that's for the better, but hopefully in the Miles Morales game that we're getting, they reduce or just completely leave out the stealth missions, because that wouldn't be a bad move to make. They were just tedious. Yeah, you know, I've finished this game more than the save slots allow me to. I've deleted some of my save slots to leave more space for me to complete the game more. And I love it every time, but those stealth missions every single time, they're tedious as fuck. So yeah, in sum, it is a fantastic game. Now the question to be answered, is it the best superhero game ever made? Arkham Asylum's games had that position, specifically Arkham City. But Spider-Man PS4 beats it. It beats it in a way that I can't explain, or that I can't explain in this video. It needs an own video on itself. But in my opinion, Spider-Man PS4 is the best superhero game ever made. By a long shot. But that's just my opinion. You can have your own opinions, share what you think in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching, hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like, subscribe if you enjoy my content. Discord and Twitter are in the description as always. And I will see you guys in the next video. As always, stay safe. Peace.